is up, guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Iowa by Slipknot. So Iowa by Slipknot is a 2001 released album, and is the second studio album from Slipknot. Now, this was a point in the band's career where they were at their darkest. They were at, just their darkest point in their careers. Honestly, a lot of them were battling substance abuse, and drug problems, and, Corey was going through a lot of depression, so was Sid Wilson. He was going through some depression as well because of his grandfather dying, and it was not a good time for the band. So, and also, the studio wanted them to create a much more radio-friendly album, and make it chart singles and stuff like that. And they were like, pretty much like, screw that, we're doing this. Iowa. The most vicious and, darkest album we can conceive. And, yeah, it's exactly that. Iowa is probably the most vicious album I've ever listened to in my entire life. Literally, this is Aggression, the album. If you thought the first album was filled with aggression, you haven't listened to Iowa. Iowa just is almost, it feels like every minute you are being hit over the head with aggression. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's absolutely fantastic. I love Iowa. Iowa is arguably probably my favorite metal album, to be honest. I've just never heard an album that just goes at it. That just goes at it like they do on this. They just bring out all the aggression. Every last fiber of aggression that they had in them, they just let it all out on this album, and it's absolutely fantastic. I love this album to death. It is a phenomenal metal record, in my opinion, and is without question one of the best in its genre, and arguably my personal favorite. So, yeah, I guess without saying any more, let's get into some of the things I do like about this album a lot, and let's first start off with the production. So let's get into that, shall we? The production on this album, the production on this is absolutely insane. It is, I'm gonna keep on using this word a lot because it is the best word to describe this album. Just the aggression from everybody is shown on this. All 9 members of the band really just go for it. They just let it all out. Every last, fiber of anger, rage, aggression, they just let it all out onto this. And it's absolutely awesome. Honestly, it is really fantastic. The production is absolutely great on this. I think the production is absolutely fantastic. All the band members do an absolutely phenomenal job. Corey Taylor on vocals is amazing. I love Corey Taylor. I've said this in the previous review that he's probably my favorite voice in metal. Just the guy knows how to grab your attention like that, and he does that all the time on this album. I really love his vocal performances a lot on here, especially on songs like People Equal Shit, or, My Pledge, or Left Behind. The dude has a really great vocal style, and it really works for what he's trying to bring on this album. I think he does a really fantastic job with that on this record. Joey Jordison, who is the drummer of this band, probably my main highlight, honestly, of this album is definitely the drums. There are definitely a lot of highlights, but for me, the main highlight of this is the drums. The drums sound absolutely great on here. Joey Jordison does an absolutely fantastic job drumming on this album, and I love his drumming a lot on here. It is fantastic. I love it how it's mixed with a lot of the songs. It's mixed perfectly, in my opinion. I love how it's mixed on here, and he just attacks that thing like a cheetah. He just attacks that thing, and it's amazing, and I love it. Like, it just adds that aggressive sound that it needs, and I think the drums, the most out of any of the instruments that really bring that aggression all together, is really the drums, in my opinion. And, you know, Joey Jordison does a great job on the drums. I really like his drumming style on this album. I think, you know, he brings that crunch, he brings that edge to it, and it's really fantastic, and it's really awesome to hear. Definitely some of my favorite drumming I've heard on any album, to be honest. It is absolutely fantastic. You know, the guitar work is absolutely great here too. I think the guitar work is really fantastic. Like, I love, you know, and I apologize if I forget some of the names of the members of the band. There's a lot of members in this band, so bear with me. But, you know, I do think the guitars sound really nice on here. Both the guitarists do a fantastic job offering some nasty, grimy riffs to the album. I think they do an absolutely fantastic job on here. I really love how the guitar work sounds on here. The turntables, you know, they sound great when they're placed into songs. The percussion sounds great as well. So yeah, overall, I think each member of the band does an absolutely fantastic job on this record, and I really love how the production sounds on here. Is absolutely fantastic. Like, the band is on top of their A game for this album. And a lot of the themes that this album follows are very, very vicious and very dark. Just like with the previous album, but cranked up even more to an 11. And it is just, oh man, it's kind of just, it is very, very uncomfortable to listen to at points, and that's exactly what it wants to do, and it does it to perfection. Like, literally the opening line to Disaster Piece is, I want to slit your throat, and I want F the wound. That's literally the opening line. Like, that already shows you what type of album you're getting yourself into, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I do think a lot of the themes that this falls, just the darkness and just the griminess that this has is fantastic, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. I think the band does an absolutely fantastic job of presenting that and executing that very well, honestly. So a lot of the themes and a lot of the lyrical content that they try to talk about on this album is really fantastic, and the way that they handle it is really great, and the way that it's executed is executed to perfection, in my opinion. Alright, now on to the tracks. So starting off with the tracks, we're going to get into the opening track off this album, and just like with the last album, this starts off with kind of an intro, kind of like just a lead-in into what is the actual opening track. So this now this intro is called 5:15, and we hear Silt Wilson going. He keeps on screaming death, 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 and like, you know, and like I was talking about earlier, his grandfather passed away, so he was in a really emotional state. And, you know, he was filled with sadness and anger. So, and you can even tell at some point, you can hear him kind of sobbing a bit. So, you just hear him screaming death, death over and over again in this intro. And then it just leads into what is the actual opening track. And that is People Equal Shit. People Equal Shit is, this is the first ever song I actually ever heard from the band. And man, what a way to get introduced to this band, and what a way to get introduced into this album. And this is the perfect opening track, in my opinion. You just hear, and you know, you hear the guitars and the drums, and you hear Corey do that aggressive growl, and you're just like, oh boy, what are we in for ourselves? And you know, just the song keeps on going, and it just builds this aggression with all the instruments, and then Corey comes in with this vicious first verse. Oh man, the verses on this song, my God almighty. Man, like, some of the most vicious verses I've heard on any song, to be honest. Like, he just goes at it, like he does. And what the song is pretty much talking about is, like, pretty much people are human waste basically, and and pretty much we're all gonna die at some point, you know what I mean, and because we're just pieces of garbage or pieces of shit in this general, as the song likes to talk about. So yeah, I do, and just the way just Corey exempts that in the verses is amazing. And then when you get to that chorus, if people like, well, shit, when you get to that chorus, it just, where all the band members start singing and stuff, it's fantastic. Like, it really just amplifies what this band was about in the earlier days, and it just shows you what type of album you're getting yourself into. And it is the perfect opening track in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. It is an absolutely fantastic opening track, and really gets you into where you're going into with this album, to be honest, and I absolutely love it. It's still a top tier favorite of mine in terms of Slipknot songs. I love this song to death, and it definitely opens up the album with a massive, and I mean massive, bang. Next song I want to talk about is Everything Ends. Now, Everything Ends, what this song pretty much talks about, according to Corey Taylor, it talks about his last attempt at committing suicide. That's basically what he's talking about in this song. And just that chorus of, you're all wrong, effed, and overrated. Like, it just, I'm gonna be sick and it's all your fault. Just, man, like, I just think that chorus, like, and especially when you start screaming it towards like, when you start screaming it when he sings it again, like, just bringing just that thunder, just that aggression is really amazing to me, and I really like how it exemplifies in that song. I do think Corey Taylor does a really fantastic job of just bringing that emotion and bringing, like, that, like, kind of like he doesn't want to be here anymore, and you kind of just feel that in the song, like, you feel that when he's singing it, and I think he does an absolutely fantastic job with that. Like, you feel that anger and just sadness even, honestly. Like, it's really fantastic. I do think he does an absolutely great job on this song. I really like how the bass sounds too on here. I forgot to mention, how dare I, but Paul Gray does an absolutely fantastic job with his bass work on here too. And on this song especially, I really love how the bass sounds on this song. Like, the bass sounds absolutely fantastic. I really love how the bass sounds on this song. It is really incredible to me, Also, of course, like I mentioned before, the drumming, the guitar work is absolutely great too. Yes, so Everything Ends, just awesome song. I love that song a ton. It just really, I think, he gets his point across, like, that he really doesn't want to be here, and he feels like he has no hope left. And I do think Corey Taylor executes that very, very well on here, and it just makes you feel, because it's like, man, I feel bad, you know what I mean? And you just see all this anger and this sadness, and it's great, and it's really great how he executes that, honestly, and it's really fantastic. So I really like how he did it on this song, and he did a really great job of executing that. So yeah, Everything Ends, great song. Alright, so the next song I want to talk about is My Pledge. One of the few times during this album you hear any melodic singing from Corey, because for the most part during this album, he's just screaming his head off. But there is some melodic singing on this song. It's really great. I like that mixture. You know what I mean? Especially when, he's, kind of doing some melodic singing at first in the verses, then it gets a little bit more aggressive, and then, in the chorus, he's just full on doing melodic singing. It's really great. Like, I really like how it's executed. Like, I also love that, like, I love that, just kind of that beat. It's really great. Like, you hear it immediately when the song starts, and it's really fantastic. I like that a lot. And, just a highlight of mine that did come very early on this album. Like, I really liked how it sounded. Like I said, I like the mixture of the more melodic vocals, and then, when he gets a lot more aggressive, like, I like that mixture. It was really great. And I really like how it's executed on this song, too. So, yeah, I definitely do think this is definitely one of their best songs, to be honest. I really do think it does have some of the best mixture of the much more melodic singing, but also the, in your face, I'm gonna scream my head off, you know what I mean? So I do think they do a nice job with that mixture on this song, and I really love it a ton. So, yeah, My Pledge, fantastic song. Now, the last song I really want to talk about in detail is my favorite song off this album, and that is Left Behind. Left Behind is very close to being my favorite Slipknot song, honestly. If it wasn't for one other song, which we'll get into on a later album, then this would definitely be my favorite, to be honest. This song is perfection. The guitar work is my main highlight of this song. I love that nasty riff of like I just love that, just that nasty riff, and just it's so like, just like the crunch with it, you know what I mean? Like, it just, that crunch with that riff is so fantastic and adds a lot to the song, in my opinion. Really adds to what they're trying to present, because I think the basic idea of this song is that someone, he's being left behind. He's leaving behind all the things that, he loved in life, whether it be his family, friends, all that, he's just leaving it behind. Hence the title, Left Behind. So I really like how it's executed, and, like I said before, kind of like with My Pledge, there's a good mixture of melodic singing and, just kind of in your face, kind of, that aggression, and I think it's executed perfectly on this song, to be honest. And it's probably my favorite mixture of the melodic singing and, the much more aggressive tone, because I really like how it's, executed very well into the song. It's actually really great. Like, I like how in the verses, he'll, scream, maybe and then do some melodic singing, scream, do some melodic singing. I really like how he did that. I really like that back and forth. That back and forth was great, in my opinion. It was really awesome to listen to, honestly. So I thought that was done pretty well. The drumming is absolutely great here. Like, I love, like, I think it's absolutely great. Like, I love how it sounds on this song. It's absolutely fantastic. And, just that chorus of, I ignore you as I close my eyes. Like, it's so great. Like, you just can't help but headbang every time you hear it. It is absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. I love that chorus so much. Definitely an awesome chorus. And then when it just goes full on, where it's just, like aggression towards the end of the song, and he's just screaming his head off, and, it's just ending off the song. I really like how that's executed. And then for the rest of the song, you just hear the instruments kind of fade out a bit. I really like how that ends off with that. It actually adds a lot to the song, in my opinion. I do think it's actually executed very well. So, yeah, Left Behind, easily my favorite song off of Iowa. In terms of some other songs I do like I mentioned before, Disaster Piece is a really great one. Gently is awesome. Okay, I love that it's kind of slow at first. It's building towards something. You kind of get that execution a little bit, but then it goes back down. But then just full on at the last minute, it just goes at it, and I really like it. That's a very nice song too. I really like Gently a lot. The Shape is another great one. Skin Ticket is very, very, almost like disturbing and unsettling to listen to. Like, it's just like the way Corey sings in that song. It's kind of disturbing. But the title track, Iowa, the 15-minute title track, I'm gonna just leave it at that, because I feel like most Slipknot fans, like, yeah, yeah. So if you want to know the basic premise of the song, it's about being alone with the corpse. I'll just leave it at that, and I'll let you interpret it what that's supposed to mean, because, yeah, and yeah, it's very disturbing to listen to. Imagine having to listen to it 2 times in a row when you have to re-listen to this album. So, yeah, So yeah, but overall, I do think this is some of the best track listing in my opinion. I really love the track listing a lot on this album. It is really fantastic in my opinion. Definitely one of their best. So overall, Iowa by Slipknot is an absolutely fantastic record. Like I said, this is probably my personal favorite metal album. I really enjoyed this album a lot. It is really fantastic in my opinion. Just the overabundance of anger and aggression really make this album what it is in my opinion. I quite enjoy it a lot, to be honest. Like, it is absolutely fantastic. I love this album so much. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. It is an absolutely phenomenal record. So it's time for my official rating on Iowa by Slipknot, and my official rating on Iowa by Slipknot is a big old 5 out of 5. This definitely deserves a 5 out of 5 in my opinion. It is fantastic. Like, I love this album to death. It is an absolutely fantastic record. It's dark, depressing, and just downright insane, and I pretty much loved every minute of it, and it's absolutely fantastic. I do think this is absolutely incredible metal record, and yeah, so good. I love this album so much. Definitely deserves a 5 out of 5. So, I should have my review for Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, up, well, you know, when it comes, it will come. So, yeah, definitely tune in for that whenever that comes around. So, real quick, before I end this off, I want to know, what do you think of Iowa by Slipknot, and what's your favorite song off of the album? Please leave in the comment section below. And I'm Film Fan 599, and we'll see you all later. Peace.